At the end of May, the 34th Euro-African Spearfishing Championships were held in the Sea of Marmara near Ördek in Turkey. This year, I was the captain for Great Britain as well as a competitor along with Dave Stevens, Ross Gilfillan and Dave O'Callaghan as the reserve diver. We arrived to Istanbul with 7 days of scouting ahead of us to prepare for the 2 days of competition. First day of scouting, we are just trying to get our boat. We're not sure exactly where it is. We don't speak Turkish.
There is a problem just.
Okay.
There is coming.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
After a short while, our scouting boat arrived and lo and behold, it was practically brand new. At €200 a day, we opted to all scout together in one boat and share our knowledge.
One of the best boats we've ever had for a competition.
It's okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
We've successfully got our scouting boat, looks really good. Other years and other competitions, the boats haven't been quite as immaculate as this one, so really pleased with that. And we're going to go to competition zone B today. Have a look, see if we can find some fish. I've looked on the charts and this zone is only about 4 nautical miles long, so not a great deal of area. But that means we can effectively scout it, but that also means everybody else can effectively scout it as well. So what we're doing here is leapfrogging. I've dropped Ross in, I've dropped Dave in, and then other Dave, and they'll all swim to where the other person has started, and hopefully we can cover a lot of ground like that. Initially, the water looks very green and full of jellyfish, but visibility looks to be about 5 meters, so you can kind of make out a little bit in 5 meters. So yeah, looking forward to my turn to get in. Haven't got in yet, but yeah, sunshine reggae.
Nice one. Oh, that feels better.
This is my first dive of the tour, and the bottom is covered in mussels, just like the Black Sea I dived in last year. There are lots of caves and crevices for the fish to hide in, and it becomes quickly apparent that a lot of the competition will be hole hunting. Without showing you some 100 dives for the day, we tried in some deeper areas around 25 meters, and the water is black down there. Not a lot of light and very cold. Dave Stevens found a long hole in around 15 meters that had small corbs at the back, but I'm not sure they would have met the minimum requirement of 500 grams. Plus, they disappeared extremely quickly. We spent the rest of the day scouring one half of the zone and then gave ourselves some time at the end of the day to go shoot some fish outside of the competition zone.
You'll never know how big they are unless you shoot them. You know, we've always done it in the past. You've got to see what the fish are like in your hand and swimming. You know, you've got to shoot one and think, that looks big enough, and then get it in your hand and it's too small. But
we're going to go find out.
We're going to find out now, whatever happens.
My action camera battery was flat, but we shot some fish for dinner.
So tell us, Dan, about how you managed to capture this fish. I hear there's a story behind this one.
Well, I was shooting a wrasse in a hole, and I shot the wrasse in a hole, and I came out with the scorpion fish as well as the wrasse. True story, didn't even see the scorpion fish.
Okay, so these things have to be 500, and it's just below weight.
430.
Yeah.
Okay, so 70 off.
And it's a pretty small fish. They obviously weigh quite well.
Yeah.
So I reckon if it was 300,
it would have gone.
yeah,
Piss it in.
yeah, be easily 300.
Right. After weighing the wrasse, we established they need to be at least 34 centimeters to have a chance at the minimum weight of 700 grams. Yeah. We then filleted the fish, added them to our tomato spaghetti, ready to do it all again in the morning.
Yeah.
Second day scouting, we are back in Zone B, ticking off the places that we didn't get to yesterday, hoping to find a few more holes for corvina and wrasse, just general areas to find those, and whatever else we can find. But I think we're going to be focusing on the wrasse quite heavily in this competition at this stage, particularly for this zone. What do you think, Davo? Wrasse?
Yes, I think it's going to be quite a lot of wrasse hunting over the 2 days of the competition. Unable at the moment to find too many other species apart from a few corbs. I've seen a shoulder mullet, but I wouldn't even have pointed a gun at them. They're just too small.
Also a bonus today is we've managed to get the sounder working, the transducer, so that's very helpful to finding fish. But lovely conditions, look at it. Again, not wanting to bore you with loads of dives during the day, I will show you the 2 best places I found. This was a hole that had corb in it behind the wrasse at about 10 meters. And this was one of the few areas that the rocks continued down to a reasonable depth and not just breaking away to a sand wasteland. I saw this flat rock at 20 meters at the end of my breath hold, but with a quick glimpse, I saw it was full of corbs and a big wrasse. Another dive was definitely needed. I didn't want to go too far in as to not disturb the fish too much, but at least 15 corb were in there and a sargo and a wrasse. The thermocline was hanging right at this level, which is causing the image to be not so sharp. Drop weight down and back to the surface to get a good mark with my GPS. This Pathos snook float worked an absolute treat for scouting. It has a dive weight under it, and with some bungee cord I could easily mount my handheld GPS on the top and keep that out of the water. Well, that is the best rock I have found so far. Full of corbs, probably 10 to 15 in there, and a sargo as well, and some wrasse in about 20-21 meters. Really nice. Unfortunately, I think a lot of other people will find this spot, but if I can get here first, might be in with a shot. The boys then picked me up to show me a spot Davo had found, which was getting people quite excited. What's in it, Davo? It's hard to see due to the angle of the camera and how tight this crack was, but I saw half a dozen really nice corbs and wrasse in there. This would be a fantastic starting point for someone. It also gave us a clue as to the type of ground we could find corbs in when hunting in shallow water. Nearby, I found a few more caves with corbs in them, but then I saw this one sitting asleep on a rock close to the sand. No way that would be there on competition day, I thought. This island had a lot of ground around it, and my first dive I managed to spook some corbs that were out in the open. Sadly, I could not locate where they ran to. It was also a very popular area, and we saw dozens of divers here throughout our time. What did you find? Tell me about your big deep hole, mate.
Yeah, so it's I'm not sure that I'm up for its first up, but I think I'm going to have to. It's about 23 meters, very sharp drop off, and then a split at the bottom, vertical and horizontal. And it's got a conga and sargo and some corbin.
Will you shoot first?
Whatever comes first. And there was some wrasse, and if the wrasse popped out first, I would shoot the wrasse.
It's tough decisions, eh?
Yeah, my objective for this comp is just not to blank, so I will shoot the first fish that swims in front of me.
It's day 3 of our scouting, and we're heading to Zone A. Hopefully find some fish today. Had a couple good days scouting in Zone B. And we're all a bit tired, so we might take it a bit easier today. But hopefully, great success.
I've got a sneaky suspicion it might be corb and wrasse, but I'm just going to throw it out there early.
Hasn't been a lot other than that, really, and maybe the odd sargo. It didn't take Dave long to find a great cave in only 5 meters, stacked with corbs, but right at the back. It would be a difficult spot to get fish out of, but if you could get there first, you would stand a chance at shooting one of the bigger ones. Another place that is hard to see with the angle of the action camera on my head, but there were 4 nice corbs right at the back at 15 meters. I figured this might be a nice place to start day 1 of the competition, as it was out of the way and I hadn't seen any other people dive it. Once again, placing the drop weight down to get a good mark right on top. Nearby on the headland, there seemed to be plenty of wrasse getting about. Dave found a lovely inconspicuous rock with corbs in it, but the hole was at a difficult angle. Out the front you can see a corb going inside. A 60 centimeter spear gun at most would be needed to have any chance of shooting one. There's one out the front, just looking at your drop weight.
Yeah, of course.
God, what's this? That's super tight though.
Isn't it? I think you literally put your gun in, like 5 progger, point in that direction.
Given we hadn't seen much aside from corbs and wrasse, I was pretty excited to see a scorpion fish, albeit small. However, I have found with scorpion fish they tend to sit in more open caves than other fish species. Not sure if there is anything to that or just my experience with them in the past. Bingo, a definite weighing scorpion fish.
Dave and I have just swum this point around here, finding lots of corvina, but not really in holes that they're staying in, maybe 1 or 2 holes, and they're not monster fish, but we've also found a lot of wrasse and scorpion fish, a big fat one. So I hope that nests up there and stays there in a week's time, but who knows. What did you see, Dave? Anything positive? You found some nice wrasse in a...
Yeah, nice wrasse in a split. They seem to be spooking themselves right up in the shallows, to be fair, a lot of them. And another rock with corb and wrasse on as well. There's plenty of fish around, but it's just what happens when the guns start going off and the divers get in the water. So.
But all round positive start.
Yeah, 100%. First time in the area.
Yeah.
This zone.
Yeah, we'll see what these other guys are going to get.
Davo and Ross had found much of the same as us, but nothing really special or guaranteed. The forecast tomorrow was 25 knots of wind, so we decided to take a rest day and recover after 3 solid days of diving.
Typical morning, Davo.
Yeah, great. Another reasonable start. Not too early, but here with everybody else, which is good. There's only a couple of boats gone out already, so it's now 9:51.
Perfect. Apparently boats don't start real well without a key, do they, Ross?
The panicked search. I think soon to find out. Nope.
Show us the goods, Dave.
Nope.
We're incredibly organised here.
Dun, dun,
Dun.
Here we go.
Yay, we can go fishing today. Well, scouting. It's our day 4 of scouting after a much needed rest yesterday, and the wind was blowing an absolute hoolie, so it'll be interesting to see how that has affected the fish life and the visibility. But this is a typical morning, everybody launching out here, us forgetting something every morning, very typical also. But hopefully we don't forget to find the fish today. Lovely morning.
We wanted to check some of the shallower bays for fish like mullet and bass. I did see a lone bass around 1.5 kilograms, but nothing that could be counted on in a competition. Interestingly though, the bottom was littered with queen scallops. Dave called me over to this rock that had an unusual white rock sitting on top of it. He said he'd found a scorpion fish inside. If you weren't careful, you'd end up with urchin spines in your hands and body, just like this here. Even a month after this competition, I'm still pulling spines from my body.
Yeah, there's a big dog in there, eh? Yeah. The wind has backed off after a rather bumpy ride over. Just finished at our first spot, and I saw a nice bass, but I don't know if that's because we were in the shallows after the wind blew, so it was all stirred up, and that's kind of what bass can like sometimes. And saw lots of wrasse, as well as a nice scorpion fish that Dave found under a rock that had another white conspicuous rock sitting on top of it. And then we both realized that obviously this is a marker that one of the other teams has put in place to help find that scorpion fish on competition day. So we took a GPS mark and moved their rock, of course. And now I'm just sounding out in some deeper water while the guys are checking out this stretch of coast, hoping to find some rocks in, I don't know, 20 to 35 meters, hopefully just a nice isolated rock full of fish, but we haven't really found too many of those. I don't know if this sort of area will hold that sort of thing, but we have to look and stare at the sounder for a long time, which is what I'm doing here.
It was much the same for the rest of the day, with everyone finding wrasse and corbs. The best thing I managed to find was this hole with sargos inside, but it was way at the other end of the competition zone to all my other marks, and I only saw them this one time. The weather for the days ahead in competition were just like this. Sunshine, flat seas, and no wind. Today we would have our final look in Zone A and decide on our starting marks and game plan.
We've arrived at a spot where I want to start on day 1, and we're just going to do the last bit of scouting, Dan's very kindly offered just to show me a few spots, and so is Dave. So I'm feeling very, very fortunate.
Hopefully they're full of corvina and wrasse. And because this will be going out after the competition, this is where we're starting.
Lion Rock.
We've affectionately named this Lion Rock because when you get in front of it, it looks like a lion. Magical conditions today.
Ross and I get to work locating some more holes for corbs. Again, the camera angle is a pain where you can't see the fish, but they are certainly there. Continuing with my large cave scorpionfish theory, I had a good poke around inside this massive cave. I would have thought for sure there would have been something in there, even a wrasse, but alas, empty. The water conditions were changing, visibility had improved a lot, and the temperature was almost 20 degrees now on the surface. Not wanting to exhaust ourselves before the competition, we checked a few of our known spots, and Dave and I went to see how our starting locations were doing.
Best weight belt on earth, get it at finsforyou.co.uk.
.com.
Finsforyou.com. Finsforyou.com. Why is it not finsforyou.co.uk?
Just isn't.
Mr. Worldwide.
Ow.
Oh, tis. Well, mate, that's a big boo-boo, that one.
I won't wear this suit now.
I think you'll fix it and it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's an easy fix. I've got patching material.
You know how people were talking about things splitting on the seam, Dave? That's proper gone down the seam.
And that's a proper one.
That's what you call a seam split.
It's a good thing Dave brings two of everything to these competitions, including wetsuits. I finished scouting in Zone A by checking my starting point. Unfortunately, there were no corbs present, but there was a wrasse. This left me feeling a bit unsettled, as I knew corbs would be the hardest fish for me to catch in the competition, as they disappear quickly into the holes, never to be seen again. You can see here the calm weather has really settled the area and the visibility has drastically improved, but the fish are also moving around.
Find it, Dave? No. We're feeling reasonably confident in this zone up until about half an hour ago, checking some spots. Current has changed, the water is warmer on the surface, the thermocline has come up, and some of the spots that we have are just completely lifeless with no fish. So, a bit concerning, but there's still about 3 or 4 days between now and when we're going to be fishing this area. So, hopefully things go back to the way they were.
Situation is that the weather this morning is absolutely superb again. The sea is like flat as flat. And I think we're going to enjoy the last day of scouting and check on all those holes that we found on the first 2 days. Hopefully the fish will still be there. Looking forward to it.
I sincerely hope they're going to be there as well. Are you confident, Dave, on the fish being there?
If you'd have asked me 2 days ago, the answer would have been yes. But after yesterday, maybe not. 50-50, we'll see.
We'll see.
We decided to simulate our starting positions as the time of day would be similar to the competition days. Ross had his first spot in 24 metres, and Dave and I planned to start on the same rock Davo found in 7 metres.
The spot that I thought I was going to start on with Dave Stevens was in the shallows about 8 or 9 metres, and it had lots of corvina on it a couple of days ago, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and now it doesn't have quite so many, so I'm not that confident on starting there. Instead, I checked some of my deeper spots that I've found, a nice rock in about 20 metres, big undercut, and I looked at that and it was full of corvina and a wrasse and some sargos as well, so I think I'm going to have to start there. Also nearby I found a rock in about 13 or 14 metres, and there was about 8 corvina sitting out in the open, and they've gone in this hole, so I might start there. They're only about 30 metres apart, but I'm pretty sure that lots of other teams will have found these rocks, so hopefully I'm the first on them. Otherwise, it could be a bit of argy-bargy. Davo,
Yeah.
how you feeling, mate, after 6 days of looking for fish, mate? How are you feeling?
I feel like a real man. A real frog man. No, it's been great. What's been good about it? more than anything,
Ship company.
the company. The company has been absolutely superb. And you boys have looked after me. I know I'm the old man of the group, but you have looked after me and I appreciate it.
Oh,
Really do.
it's gonna make me cry.
Thank you very much.
Dave, scouting's done. What's your thoughts now?
It's been hard work looking after Dave. Yeah, interesting. It seems to change day by day, and the fish seem to be either in or out. Not much in the variety of species, just mainly wrasse and corb, but it is what it is. It's the same for everyone.
That's true. Ross,
Well, I started off today really badly. There's not a lot in the deep. The current was a little stronger than I wanted, and I was just taking too long to breathe up. And you guys very kindly showed me some stuff on the shallows where I'm going to start, and then I've got another drift section where I can work and be a little bit more productive. Yes, on the 15 meter line, 15 to 16 meters. So I'm feeling a lot happier than I was this morning.
perfect. And my starting spot, I've just seen Luigi Peretti on top of it sounding around, so that's terrifying. Today is the day before the competition and just heading to the captain's meeting now. Beautiful weather today, sunshine, and these boats are just getting prepared. So we'll see what they say in the technical meeting. Hopefully everything is as we expect.
The well-oiled machine that is Spain getting their boats fueled up. As usual, the captain's meeting was late by a few hours. The two major changes to the rules were that wrasse were now all counted as one species instead of separate, basically meaning there were only 5 wrasse that were allowed. Lastly, it was now a 5-hour competition instead of the advertised 6-hour competition. The boat draw was completed and we had 3 decent vessels for the competition days. Not a bad start. The opening parade was changed from the town square to the footpath outside the official hotel. Not the usual things at these events, but it got the job done. We were welcomed by the mayor of Erdek and other officials, and then Andreas from CMAS gave the official opening of the championship. Finally, 2 rounds of traditional Turkish dancing and we were off home to have dinner and get to bed.
Gear is all packed up for tomorrow. Just need a good night's sleep now. It's the night before day 1 of the competition, and I'm not going to lie, I am a little nervous about tomorrow because I've never dived a competition of this level before, and outside of a world championship, realistically, this is the most competitive spearfishing competition you're ever going to find. It's got all the top European divers. There are so many world champions, European champions in the field. It's quite daunting, but going to get out there tomorrow, give it my best, and above all, just have a fun day's fishing. What's the vibe, mate?
Just want to get going now. It's been a long week. Just make it a rewarding one.
As forecast, conditions are fantastic. Divers are loading up their boats to then head to the port where we will all gather before heading to the competition zone.
Feeling positive?
Yeah, pretty positive.
Do you like this zone or the other one better?
I think we actually have better spots for the tomorrow's zone, but it's quite crowded. We'll have good spots for today as well. I think 10 fish is a possibility.
Good luck.
Real possibility.
Good luck,
Yeah.
good luck.
You too.
My commissar for the competition was a Turkish team member, Gökay Guleb. His boat was just under 5 meters with 100 horsepower on the back, so we got to places very quickly.
We've just got our ice, and I think it's not going to start at 8:30, probably closer to 9:30, but that's okay. It's a 5-hour competition. It's changed from 6 hours. I'd kind of prefer the longer competition, to be honest, but it is what it is.
Every boat has an official identification that corresponds with your fish tags.
Got our boats, we're all heading out to the start of the zone. Going to be utter chaos out there in about half an hour.
I didn't film my hunting during the competition, of course, except a few snippets between spots. The start went off without much warning, and my first 15-meter spot had 2 corbs in it, but sadly not big enough, so I quickly moved to the headland nearby.
First 25 minutes, all the fish. Now we need Corvina. 1.5 hours 5 hours and no other fish apart from the wrasse at the start of the day. Not through a lack of trying, 150 dives today. Just not lucky enough on finding big corvina.
We then sign off with the official boat and head back to the hotel for the weigh-in and to discuss the tales of the day.
Valentin, how was your day?
It could be better.
One corvina?
Yeah, one corvina and 5 kikla. And
Perfect.
that's it. And 1 mullet, but it was missed this month. Normally, always have a fish which you are missing.
The weigh-in started a few hours late with no particular order at all. Some great catches came in from the women, particularly from Turkey. Italy, strong as usual, and of course Demola with a great catch. Winner of the previous Euro African Championship, Spain's Oscar Cervantes had done very well. Farain of Turkey had a magnificent catch as expected from a local diver. However, lots of unhappy spectators though as the Turks swarmed the scales and no one could see anything that was going on. This happened every time they weighed. Neighbouring Bulgarian champion Valentin Lutskanov had all 6 of his fish weigh. The Croats were really showing their prowess with congers. Baratovic weighed in 5, Pereshko and Krubic weighed in 2 each. Finally, at 9 p.m, Great Britain was called to weigh the fish. No doubt our fish had lost weight from dehydration as the competition finished 7 hours prior. One of Dave's wrasse didn't weigh, but he still had 4 valid wrasse and 1 valid corb. Unfortunately, both of Ross's wrasse were just under the minimum weight, and I'm sure weighing in dead last after 7 hours did not help the situation. All my 5 wrasse weighed, which was a relief. One thing that was very frustrating is there was no printout of my score sheet to sign off. I also didn't have a chance to take a photo of the scores on the screen to check that as well. Many teams were super unhappy with the way this went, along with the scale only being 50 grams accuracy, which affects penalty points for some people. For some reason, after we weighed our fish, Hakan from Turkey weighed his fish, and he had an exceptional catch, but I'm not sure why they did it dead last after everybody had already left.
It is the start of day 2. Last night we didn't get to bed till about 11 o'clock because the weigh-in finished at around 9:30. We were dead last to weigh. And to heat up our dinner once we got home, but I think we've all had enough sleep to get through today. And this area is very small. It's about 4 miles wide, so not a lot of fishing ground, so it's going to be critical the first half an hour to try and get those fish before they all spook. But not feeling amazing today. Legs are pretty tired after 150 dives yesterday, but I'm going to give it everything I've got today. That is a lot of boats for a 4 mile area. I know there's bays, but I think if you divide 4 by 70 competitors, I think it's around, I think we worked it out during scouting, it's about 80 meters per competitor, something like this. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of argy-bargy, I'm sure.
But I'm very happy to be here to represent France, and we will do the best.
Good luck.
For everybody. Thanks, bro.
Seeing as the start yesterday was quite unannounced, I might put the camera down and maybe do an update a little bit later in the competition, let you know how we're getting on. Hoping the first spot I go to is in 13 meters, and then next to it, about 30 yards away, is another spot at 20 meters. Both in scouting had a lot of corvina, so I'm hoping that I'm the first one there and I'm not fighting people for those fish, but no guarantees out here.
I arrived to my starting mark in 20 meters with a French and Greek diver. The hole was completely empty and not a single fish, but I had another hole close by.
My big corb hole was empty, but the second one had something in it. I shot it, I'm not sure if it's going to weigh, it'll be very close. And then I shot a wrasse in there, and my shaft got stuck and it took me 6 dives to get it out. Got an urchin all the way through my hand, which is not the nicest, but yeah, shaky start, but hopefully some more fish to follow. 2 valid wrasse and 1 corvina, that's borderline. You would not believe it. This is the corb that was sitting in that crack asleep during scouting, and I thought I'd just check it after getting one out of a hole nearby. And it was sitting there in the crack. No torch, no nothing, straight down on top, asleep. Thanks for coming.
And just like that, 5 hours of competition were finished. I caught 5 wrasse and 3 corb. A huge thank you to Gokai for driving the boat for me over the 2 days in the blistering sun. After not having a drink for a month, the beers certainly hit hard, and we were glad that the event was over. The weigh-in started slightly more promptly this time, and it seemed not as many fish had been captured. Consistent as ever, the Spanish women had solid catches from a difficult zone. It was clear that Amandine of France had done well with 8 valid fish. The weighing order today was reversed, so I was first to weigh, but they started weighing my fish without me, which was disappointing. However, all 5 wrasse weighed and 2 out of my 3 corbs weighed. Ross had both his fish easily weighed today. Dave had 9 fish with his 5 wrasse, 3 corb and a mullet. Unfortunately, 2 of the corbs were just under, otherwise Dave would have jumped 10 or 15 places up the rankings. Backing up on day 2, Baratovic had a fine brace of congers amongst other fish. Forain with another fine string including 4 scorpion fish. Montenegro also finished very well. Italy again produced some great catches today. The weigh-in was finished with the sun still shining, however due to errors in the scores we had to wait another 2 hours for the presentation. However, they did try and entertain us a little bit after an hour and a half with some more Turkish dancing. Finally, we got the presentation underway with Lidija Vukic of Norway in 3rd place. 2nd place to Ivana Bralic of Croatia, and the women's champion, Amandine Gomez of France. Third place in the men's goes to Antonio Baratovic of Croatia. 2nd place to Forain Uysal of Turkey. The 2024 Euro African champion is Hakan Censer of Turkey. The women's team was won by Spain, 2nd for Turkey and 3rd for Croatia. Men's teams had Spain in 3rd, Croatia in 2nd, and of course, Turkey in 1st place. We all then headed to the gala dinner from midnight and we were in bed by 2 a.m, ready to return to Blighty.
Final thoughts, Ross, of Turkey?
Well, I really enjoyed it. A great company, and it was a fantastic learning experience. Thanks, guys.
Dave, final thoughts, mate?
Yeah,
Happy
similar.
To be going home?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going home. I think it's time now. I think we're done, aren't we? I think we're well and truly spent after the last couple of days. But it's been a really good trip, and as Ross said, it's a good learning experience, I think. But yeah, overall, good time.
Very positive out here. Where's Davo? Story of our life. Story of our life is where's Davo?
Finally, I'd like to say thank you to my teammates for a fantastic tour. Hand on heart, I can say there was not a single bit of animosity in the group, which is one of the most important things when you're away for 2 weeks. Thank you to the British Spearfishing Association for placing their trust in me as captain. I'd also like to thank the London International Club, the Dorset Spearfishing Club, and Dive Eye Australia for your financial support to help get us out there and compete. Finally, to my wife Hannah, thank you for your never-ending support in my endeavours.